Well, Bitcoin's price has been going sideways for the last 12 and a half days, leaving many crypto traders and investors a bit confused and concerned as to what's going to happen next here for Bitcoin's price. And so in today's video, I wanted to talk in depth about what's going on with Bitcoin and exactly why I believe many traders are going to get trapped as a result of this exact move. Now, I'm going to do this by breaking this video down into 5 pieces. We're going to talk about first and foremost what happened to get us here for Bitcoin, so a bit of a recap. Then we're going to talk about what is happening right now, what to be looking out for right now, what I think is going to happen next, and what I'm doing as a result of what I think is going to happen next. So we have a good bit to get into today, guys, so let's not waste any more time. And do not forget that if you do want to start trading some Bitcoin yourself, you can check out the link to BTCC down below. Guys, this is where I do 95% of all of my Bitcoin trading every single day. And if you sign up specifically with my link down below, you'll get up to $10,000 in bonuses and up to 40% less trading fees. This is one of the best deals on all of YouTube, and it is a fantastic exchange that's been around since 2012, 2013. So check out the link down below and let me know what you think. Now, first and foremost, what happened to get us here? Let's kind of just go over the last couple weeks of Bitcoin really quickly, just so you understand the order of operations, kind of what has been going on. So, as many of you know, at the end of last year, we saw a pretty big roadblock. We saw Bitcoin's price run all the way up to $109,000 before returning to $88,000 and then giving us one more hoorah back towards the upside, giving us a little bit of a blood diamond formation here before, of course, pulling back to the bottom side. Now, Bitcoin, in typical Bitcoin fashion, came back down and found some support at a previous macro zone of resistance and used this key point of support to push back towards the upside, returning back to these previous highs over the last couple months. Now, as Bitcoin's price did make this move towards the upside, I told you all extremely consistently that if Bitcoin's price could break the golden Fibonacci zone, this would open up the door for Bitcoin to be able to make a move back up towards not only just this previous all-time high, but likely surpass it. Usually, when it can break this golden zone, it'll break up towards what's called the 1.272 fib extension, which is at $121,000, and in a very bullish scenario, the $138,000 level at the 1.618 Fibonacci extension. Now, in simpler terms, based on a tool called the Fibonacci's, if Bitcoin was capable of getting past this yellow box, it would be able to break up towards this blue line, and in a great world, break up towards this green line. And well, what do you know? Bitcoin's price breaks above the golden zone and creates a descending channel. We traded this descending channel for a couple months, scooping the lows and taking profits at the highs before Bitcoin did officially use this back test of support to absolutely run out of descending channel and push up towards our first major take profit level right at the $121,000 level. So although it might have felt like Bitcoin's not done a lot this year up until this point, that couldn't be further from the truth. Bitcoin has systematically broken past a key zone of resistance, past a golden zone, back tested it with the continuation pattern, and then used that continuation pattern to break up towards a macro level of resistance. I mean, this is as textbook as it gets, and it's extremely bullish. A lot of people said that this has been a very bearish crypto market. I think for altcoins, there is a lot of truth in that. But when it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin has had a fantastic year. And although it's a little bit slow, you can't take away the absolute strength that Bitcoin has showed making this move happen. And that's, of course, what's got us here. Now, what is happening now? Okay, now that Bitcoin has made this move and we are at this macro level of resistance, what is happening right now? Well, as many of you have probably noticed, Bitcoin's not done a lot over the last 12 days or so. And that is because it has started to go in sideways, ranging between $118,000 and, of course, $123,000, kind of just chopping back and forth over the last nearly 2 weeks. Now, many people believe that this is like a bad thing, and I'm not 100% sure why, but I think that this is actually a good thing for 2 reasons, okay? The first reason is because Bitcoin is now hanging out under a macro zone of resistance. So what you need to understand is that I didn't tell you the $121,000 level by accident. I didn't just make this level up. No, this is a level that was predetermined based off a very, very strong and historically accurate indicator being the Fibonacci's. And so knowing that the $121,000 levels is one of the biggest resistance zones that Bitcoin has ever seen in its history because of the fact that it was created off an all-time high, you have to understand that Bitcoin is going to respect this resistance, and it's not just going to be a cakewalk to just go straight through it. I mean, look at this. When Bitcoin tried to break through it the last time, it immediately got rejected, and that is because it is a very, very strong zone of resistance. But the reason why this is a good thing, and the fact that Bitcoin's price is going sideways is a good thing, is that historically speaking, when Bitcoin's not going to break a resistance zone, right? Like when we are for sure not going to get past it, it doesn't look like this. Generally speaking, Bitcoin, if it is going to for sure get rejected off a massive point of resistance, it's going to do it fast. It would have looked just like this if this got worse, right? So it would have looked like Bitcoin breaking above it, getting rejected, and absolutely sending it back. I mean, Granny getting kicked smooth down the stairs, straight back down towards $100,000. That's what that would have looked like, but that's not what we're seeing. Bitcoin's price is going sideways, directly below a macro zone of resistance, which means that although there is still that selling pressure, and we are still seeing the bears forcing the price down here, they're not doing it good enough. They're not doing a strong enough job in order to completely dissuade the bulls from trying to push it up. And matter of fact, these bulls are still stepping in and holding this price up, fighting at this resistance zone and weakening these bears up here. Because what you must understand, the bears are working harder right now than the bulls are because we're in a bull market, right? And in a bull market, we have that bullish momentum sat behind us right now. And so although the bears are slowing the price down, they're working much harder than us. And it is going to be harder and harder for them every single day to stop Bitcoin's price from getting through this key zone of resistance. And so that's the first reason as to why this move here for Bitcoin is actually extremely good. The second reason why this move for Bitcoin is extremely good is because of the impact it's had on alts. What we saw was that as Bitcoin's price went sideways, look at what happened with Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance absolutely nuked. And the reason being is because the second that Bitcoin slowed down, we started to see a lot of these profits start moving over into the altcoin market, pushing liquidity into them. Now, that's a good thing because it is an implication that, of course, we are in an actual liquidity-based bull market in which liquidity does flow from asset to asset. And so overall, for Bitcoin, this is good. And for the crypto market as a whole, this is good. So it's not something to be concerned about. So yes, Bitcoin's price is going sideways, and it might be frustrating or boring or whatever you want to call it. But the truth is, this is still a very good moment for the crypto market. It's a good moment for Bitcoin that could be opening up the door for some future runs in the future. Now, off the back of that, of course, let's talk about what should we be looking out for, okay? Let's talk about what we should be looking out for, because I do believe that there is a decent likelihood that we will see Bitcoin's price go up from here. And you know what I want to do now that I'm kind of thinking about it? Now that I'm thinking about it and I am creating this video, let's do it like this, okay? Let's talk about what I think is going to be happening next. And then in the process of what's going to be happening next, I'll tell you what to be looking out for, okay? Because this is where some of the warnings come in. So now that you have an understanding of what Bitcoin is doing right now, let's talk about how I think this is going to play out, okay? Now, obviously, listen, I don't have a magic crystal ball. I don't know. And I hope you understand that. I do not know what's going to happen next, but I have been studying Bitcoin for several years, and so I'm going to tell you what I think based on that. So historically speaking, as I mentioned before, when Bitcoin's price is capable of maintaining below a key zone of resistance during a bull market, the longer you stay here, the more likely it becomes that Bitcoin's price will break upwards. So I would say that back here, when Bitcoin ran to this resistance zone, it was a 50-50. It was a 50-50 shot that we would either push through it or get rejected by it. It was just a coin flip. There was actually no true way of knowing. The only thing that could give some hint was the fact that we were seeing the RSI start to slow down. So maybe it was like a 49.51, but at the end of the day, it was a coin flip. But now that Bitcoin's price has been able to sustain below this key level of resistance for now nearly 2 weeks, I actually believe the odds of a breakout here have increased dramatically. Now, I would go as far as to say the odds have now shifted towards more of a 65-35. 65% chance that Bitcoin does actually break through this key zone of resistance. 35% chance it gets rejected and goes towards some sort of more macro correction, a big pullback. Now, one caveat that I want to throw in there is that my 65% chance does also include the possibility that Bitcoin might do something like this, okay? In the sense that it goes into this little distribution phase, it pulls back, we see a bit of a sell-off, we see everything get oversold, then the bulls step back in, we turn resistance into support and use that to continue upwards. That is still within the 65% probability or possibility. And the reason that I say that is because I'm not obviously sure if Bitcoin wants to do this or if it wants to do that. I have no way of knowing. But I do believe in the short to midterm, Bitcoin has a 65% chance of making this move towards the upside and breaking through this key zone of resistance. Now, you may say, Tyler, why is there a 35% chance that Bitcoin's price pulls back towards the downside and goes into some sort of more macro correction? And the reason why I say that is simply just because you must remember where we are. We're in the middle of summer. It is only the end of July. July and August are historically not great months for crypto. And so you have to factor in the fact that at any given point, all of the music might just stop for a few weeks. weeks or a few months. We might see crypto go sideways or downwards for 2 months in preparation of entering the end of Q3, beginning of Q4, where generally macro liquidity is better. Also, in consideration, you must understand there are still a ton of geopolitical events. There's a ton of macro political events. There's still a lot of things happening out in the world right now that will impact crypto. And you have to understand that in a moment like now, where all of those things are happening, you never quite know. So you need to give them a little bit of extra weight and be aware that something stupid might just happen out of nowhere, right? And so in my opinion, the easiest way to look at that is by saying, okay, there's about a 35-40% chance that this does continue down, even though it feels more likely that even if we do break down a little bit, that we will try to continue to the upside in one way or another. Now, in addition to that, another reason as to why I believe there is a 35% chance is because of what we are seeing on our macro liquidity books, okay? So if we look at our liquidation map, what you can see here is that there are a lot, and we're talking over nearly $22 billion worth of liquidations of Bitcoin back towards $104,000. And in comparison, there's only $8 billion towards the upside. What you all know is I'm a firm believer that the crypto market will historically trend and go in the direction in which there are the most liquidations, because there are these tall, slimy, manipulative lizard people who lick their eyeballs in excitement when they see the amount of people that they can liquidate and take their money from. And so knowing that there's such a heavy distribution of liquidations to the downside, we are constantly at the threat and at the risk of this market pulling back to go liquidate those people. Now, it is normal and natural to see a ton of liquidations to the downside during a bull market. So I'm not saying this is sole enough reason to say that the market will go down. And the fact that if you look at the 7-day, there's a pretty solid distribution, and the 1-day is favored towards the upside. I'm not saying that we're for sure going to go down. It's just enough to make me consider that it's a possibility. And so because of that, all of those things, I do think there is still a decent amount of chance that we do see the crypto market pull back. And so it's worth at least factoring in. Okay. And so that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's more likely that we're either going to break upwards, or that if we pull back, we'll find some support and continue upwards. And so that is what I'm preparing for, and that is what I'm expecting next. Now, in the meantime, though, while Bitcoin is making that decision of if it's going to take the 2 out of 3 chance or the 1 out of 3 chance, this is what you need to be looking out for. And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about with the name of today's video. Okay. In the meantime, while Bitcoin's price is making this decision, there are going to be a lot of traps that get laid, and I want you to be incredibly careful. There's like 2 or 3 things that I need you to be doing right now, especially if you're a Bitcoin trader. If you're trading, especially anywhere over like 10 or 15x leverage, I really need you to pay attention to this, okay? So what I've come to recognize is that when Bitcoin is making macro decisions like this at key zones of resistance, we've been entering into these little things called HMZs. And if you're new to the channel, you don't know what it is. If you're not new to the channel, you hate hearing me say it. But an HMZ is what's called a high manipulation zone. And a high manipulation zone is quite simply a level in which you're going to notice the market makers and what I believe to be centralized exchanges pushing prices up and down dramatically and traumatically in many ways, absolutely destroying everyone within touching distance. So in a moment like this, where Bitcoin is sort of waiting for maybe political events to cool down, or waiting for just liquidity to cool down, or whatever it may be, you're going to notice that it's going to start giving us these sorts of moves where we pump and then we dump and then we pump and then we dump. And it creates this little sideways, you can call it distribution or you can just call it consolidation. It's totally up to you. But at the end of the day, what it's going to be is a destruction zone. In these little moments where Bitcoin's price starts going sideways while we're awaiting a decision is actually one of the most dangerous times to be trading on high leverage without very, very smart strategies. Because what ends up happening is you might say, okay, well, I think Bitcoin's price is going to go up. And so you might enter in on some sort of long trade with the stop loss set below this range right here, right? So you might enter in on a long trade, set your stop loss right here, and you may think, okay, I'm good. If it breaks down, well, I probably was wrong and we're headed downwards. And, if it goes up, well, I make money. But the truth is, what could very well happen is that your stop loss is right here, Bitcoin's right here, it's trending sideways, it goes up and makes you think that this market's going up, you double down on that trade, and then it starts to come back down, it pushes down, you get stopped out thinking that the trade's over, and then it recovers and then it takes off. These sorts of moves are going to happen, and they're already happening. We're already seeing it play out. Look at this little move right here, this. It's happening like crazy. We had a low, a lower low, a high, a higher high, all within one day. Okay, so it's happening right now. And if you're not being very strategic about this, and if you've not traded these ranges before, I'd probably say de-risk a little bit, and maybe either de-risk or re-risk. It's kind of like you need to just pick your poison here. I say de-risk in the sense that de-risking and pulling leverage a little bit, and maybe just allowing this bad boy to play out before going in on some big leverage trades would probably be the best idea. But if you're committed to leverage trading on this move right here, what I would actually say is that re-risking could be a possible good idea in the sense that you reduce reduce the size of your stop loss, right? Or you increase the size of your stop loss, I suppose. And the reason I say that is because if you're tight trading this thing, right? If you have a stop loss right here, you're at severe threat of being just liquidity hunted, right? And getting that thing touched before it continues to the upside. And the same thing, right? If you're shorting the market, betting it's going to go down, there's still a ton of risk that Bitcoin makes another run upwards before making that happen. And so I would probably pull those stop losses a little bit further off the range to give it more room to give these these manipulative moves a try and allow it to happen. But obviously that's risky, right? Because the further the bigger the gap that you give for your stop loss, the more risk you're taking with that actual trade. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you either need to pull some leverage back and allow this to play out on low leverage, or if you're going to stick to your leverage, you might need to increase the risk size. And that's why it can be such a trap, because one way or another, people are going to lose. And some people who choose option A are going to lose. Some people who choose option B is going to lose. And that's why you just need to understand that moments like this are extremely risky. And I personally don't touch HMZs. I like personally just trading the breakouts. I think trading breakouts is the easiest thing on earth. You trade the range and you trade the breakout in the sense that, okay, we had a descending channel. We scooped the lows, we took profits on the highs until something broke. And then when something breaks, you can enter in on all your trades, you have your breakout targets, you take your profits, your stop loss is sat below the range. Like, it's super easy to just trade the range and trade the breakout, but I don't like trading HMZs because they get weird, okay? And I don't like playing that game. And so if you are trading this, you just need to be careful because, again, these sorts of weird things like this are going to happen over and over and over again. Let's go to the 1 hour. Just want to show you what yesterday's move looked like. I mean, it's gross, bro. Like, look at this. Like, we had, again, a low, then we had a high, then we broke to a lower low, then a higher high immediately. I mean, look at that. Like, it's just, these sorts of things are off and they continue to happen time and time and time again. So please be extremely careful. And if you go look at this, the liquidation history, for example, you can kind of see what I'm saying here. Boom. I mean, look, right? If I kind of zoom in, hopefully this loads here for me. Look at that. I mean, it's just gross. It's kind of brutal, honestly, right? So just be extremely careful right now while Bitcoin is trying to make this decision of what direction that it wants to make that move in. So what am I doing right now for the final part of this video? What am I doing right now? I'm letting this puppy rest. I actually haven't taken profits off my macro bag in a while. As you guys know, I did take a lot of profits off of Bitcoin, right around $119,000 up to $121,000. And so now that I've taken all this profit off of Bitcoin, now that I have rotated some of those profits into some of my alts, I'm really just letting this puppy ride. I'm not doing a ton. We've not dipped enough to make me start rebuying like I did back here, but we've also not pumped enough, and we are corrected and cooled down enough to make me stop taking profits. So I'm just kind of in a wait and see moment. I'm not going to range trade this bad boy, but if we do start to break up through 121,000, and I'm sure that it is an actual breakout, there is a possibility that I will trade that thing with a trailing stop loss just for funsies. But I'll keep you guys updated as that all does play out. Obviously, time will just tell. But again, my thesis is that we have a 65% chance of either breaking out now or pullback breaking out, and a 35% chance that we do go into some sort of more macro correction to finish out the rest of summer. So I'll keep you updated as that all does play out. Just stay tuned. Now, I do want to let you know before we do go, guys, we have less than basically 1 day left before the crypto playbook is released, which comes out tomorrow. This is a completely free resource that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks for you guys that has a ton of educational information about technical analysis, fundamental analysis, trading, how to get started in crypto, what crypto is, and much more. There's lessons, there's videos, there's a bunch. And this is going to be something I work on for the next couple years to hopefully make it the most informational and helpful resource that you have anytime that you're investing or trading crypto. So head to the link down below. That is releasing tomorrow, and I will send you a few lessons early if you do sign up today. And don't forget that if you do want to start working on some of these trades for Bitcoin, you can check out the link down in the description below. Go check out BTCC, go save up to 40% in fees, and go get up that $10,000 bonus. But with that in mind, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and I can't wait to catch you all in the next one.